Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. We are going to explore how to use your collections within Archoral. I am Kate. I am one of the co-founders of Archoral, and I am joined with my cohort, Laverne. She's my fellow co-founder. We are talking about getting the most from using collections. Well, when you look at a family history project, it often looks like this. It's incredibly overwhelming. Before you scan, you need a plan. You can't just start willy-nilly, or you're going to get yourself lost. So what we're going to discuss today is common folder structures. We're going to look at the limitations of those traditional folder structures. Then we're going to explore the function of Archoral's collections, and we're going to look at selected collection structures. Now, don't freak out. Structures sounds like a nerve-wracking word, but it's actually kind of intuitive once you get the feel for how our collections work. All right, so our first stop, what are common folder structures and what are their limitations? So there are 6 that are pretty common out there in the archiving world. The first one is going to be by family branch. Now, this is great for genealogy-focused collections. It keeps everything grouped by ancestral lines, great for researchers, great for descendants. But the consideration is you can become cluttered if the family trees overlap. So take this. If Sarah Johnson marries Lucas Nin, where they overlap, where do you put their media? Whose collection do you put it in? Is half of her life in the Johnson family and the other half in the Wynn family? That's a question. That's a quandary. Number 2 is by date. This is great if you've got time-stamped media and you're creating a visual timeline. It supports a lot of the storytelling approaches for historical events and people. However, when you cross-reference these people or events, it takes a lot more effort. So if I'm looking for a particular event in 1880 or a particular person, I have to go into that media and search through to find what I want. So then we're going to go to number 3. By individual, this is a great way to build reports and albums. It's useful for creating scrapbooks, videos, stuff like that. You're going to break them down by portions of their life. The trade-off is that it can lead to duplicate media across folders when people appear in multiple places. That's one question that I get asked all the time. I have a picture with 6 family members in it. Do I have to put it in each of the family members' folders if I want them to show up? That's a personal question if you want to duplicate the media, or where do you want to put it? So it's a trade-off. The next one is by media type. This is a very common one when you're dealing with large archives with varied collections of information. They're going to digitize by media type. This is great when you have an extensive metadata and tagging system set up that has to be consistent. So again, strong naming for the file names, strong metadata for the people, the events, anything that you think you're going to search that media for, you have to have that strong tagging setup. So let's look at number 5, life event or topic. So here, storytelling, curated presentations, all of the weddings or the military service of your family. That's great for public displays, topic-related books, things like that, but it's going to require interpretation and resorting because, again, if I'm looking for something that has to do with only John and I want John's wedding, John's military service, and John's holidays, I'm going to have to go digging through, or I'm going to have that extensive tagging. So then there's the hybrid structure. This one kind of gives you a little bit best of the both worlds, where you do by family, by media type, by decade. However, it takes a lot more planning up front to keep the story consistent for future generations. They're going to have to remember how you did it and keep that management, that structure style up. This is the consistency. Family. family is in everything. That's what we're doing this for. That's the whole point. So I don't want to just look at one individual, one event, one decade. I want to look at the entire family. So here, let's take a look at this family. We have the different branches and their family members. Now, if I'm going to do this in a file folder structure, I'm going to think about date, media type, events, all of that fun stuff. And it's going to start out looking like this, where I have to open each folder and each piece of media inside that folder individually. To me, that didn't tell my family story. That told me the little snippet of each piece that I opened. So, how are collections different? How do they work together? This is how Archoral thinks that your media should interact. Let's go back to Carrie. We're going to look at her family tree. Now, let's say David and Lori are Carrie's parents, and we're going to go to David's family for Thanksgiving. There's David's branch of the family there. They're going to have information on the Fritz family, on the Garrett family, on the Potts and the Henders. Great. Then at Christmas time, we're going to go to Mom's side. So we're going to have information on the Olivers, the Hollivers, the Waltons, and the Leans. They don't care anything about the other branch because they don't know anything about them. That's not their history. So I want the first branch to be separate from the second branch, but I don't want to open them folder by folder by folder by folder. So that's what we're getting to. The next thing that we're going to look at is Peter. Now, Peter is the biological child of Lori and Gerald. He's going to want to know all of the lineage that Carrie has in her collection that has to do with his maternal line. Then he's going to want his father, his biological father, so that he knows that line. Then of utmost importance are the people that raised him, the McDonoughs and the Smiths. So if I'm Carrie, these are the family pieces that I'm interested in. How am I going to find them? One at a time by searching. So let's take a look at what collections does for you in this. If we create collections by surname, we're going to have Fritz, that's going to include all these folks. We're going to have the Garretts, the Potts, the Henders, the Olivers, the Hollivers, the Waltons, the Leans, and that covers Carrie's immediate family. So what about the rest of them? So Lincoln and Jennifer have children. They're going to want to know their mom. Carrie and Charles have children. They're going to want to know their dad. And the McDonoughs, Carrie doesn't have a lot of information about them. So we're going to put them in one singular collection, keeping in mind that for future generations of Peters, if they want to break it out and extend and combine, they can absolutely do that. Let's look at what else we can do with collections. We've talked about family. We've talked about how we put them in their surname branches. These guys, right? These are each one of the surname pieces that work me through my family. But there's other things you can do. What about topic-related collections? What about that car collection? Now, I don't need to open the car collection at Thanksgiving with everybody else, but it's a really big part of one of my family members' storylines. What about the art collection, the family heirlooms, the bakery business, the horses that Grandpa bred, or the furniture that he made? Those are all very important pieces, but not necessarily things that I want to journey through at a family holiday when I'm journeying through our history and our people. So I'm going to create those collections as well. So let's see what collections looks like in Archoral. This is our media collections page. And if you notice, I have gone ahead and I have selected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 collections. Then I'm going to go up here to our menu and I'm going to choose Indexer to open these collections together, these randomly selected collections together in the Media Indexer. And that's going to look like this. So here you'll see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 collections open, all at the same time, all together. If I want to close one of them because maybe I made a mistake or maybe I don't need that one anymore, you can close them in any random order. You don't have to start over. Well, what if I want to add one? I can do that too. I can bring in another collection and keep going where I left off. Then there's our indexer. This is the secret sauce. This is what makes all of your media interconnected across your entire archive. It makes everything cyclical and interactive. I want to make a side note that we never talked about separating things by media because we do that for you. Anything in those collections that is a photo, a document, a video, or an audio file automatically gets put in separate tabs so that when you're going through photos with family, you don't get interrupted by those census documents or birth certificates. You can stay in your family journey. All right. So what about the subfolders? I did not forget about the subfolders. They take on a different purpose within the Archoral universe. So remember those collections we made? All those family collections and the topic collections? Well, now what do? Do we do subfolders by individuals, by events, by date, by media type? We already talked about we don't have to do by media type if you don't want to. But where do I go from here? Well, I tell you what, we aren't making analog media anymore. We need to rethink how we're going to organize in the digital world. The way that we move forward needs to have a slightly different concept than what we did looking back. So that gives us two different kinds of media that we're going to deal with. We've got modern collections, all the digital stuff that we are taking like crazy, and we have vintage collections. That's all of the analog media that we have graciously inherited. So let's look at this from the Fritz family collection point of view. We're going to look at our vintage and our modern ways of doing this. So we'll start with vintage. I think that your process, you're going to get all this media, you're going to organize it, right? You got to know what you're looking at. Then you're going to digitize it. Then you're going to be good little archivists and put it in archival storage boxes. Preserve, that's the whole point that we're here. But what we're going to look at with vintage collections is the storage. And what I mean by that is where is it? Once you're done digitizing, where is it? So for the Fritz vintage, that's going to be my first subfolder. Then I have small boxes, medium boxes, photo albums, external drives, all that fun stuff. Then inside those, I have the smaller boxes because you're going to put all those little ones of all of your little 4x5s in a larger box. So location, photo albums. I love to say the first three initials of the family member. So Helen Mae Fritz, Black Photo Album 1, Lori Ellen Fritz, the rectangle red or the wedding album. Then I'm going to look at external drives, thumb drives, terabyte drives, all of that fun stuff. What are the benefits of doing it this way? You're building a master archive. You're trying to get all of that history into one spot. And by doing it storage location based, you know exactly where to go when you need one of the originals. Because as we all know, digital's great, digital's fun, digital's preservation, but there's nothing more nostalgic than holding that photo that your great-grandfather had in his back pocket while he crossed the country. You know, there's a million reasons, but there's a nostalgia to that. So this folder structure allows you to go back and locate those originals whenever you need. So let's look at the next one, modern collections. With this one, we've got all the people, obviously. We've got the sources again, and then we've got the upload date. These are the three main portions of a modern collection. But instead of looking at one, we're going to look at all three. So by person, the collection would be Fritz family. The first subfolder would be each one of those family members that we saw up in the tree. Then we're going to look at the source. We have digital sources galore. Lincoln has iCloud photos. Carrie has iCloud photos, but she also uses a video camera whenever she's doing an event. And Lori, she's an Android user, so she's got Google Photos, Ancestry documents, MyHeritage documents. She keeps her diary in Word. So these are our sources. Then if we look at upload date, you'll see on Lori's Google Photos, I did as of, and then a date range. What are the benefits of doing it this way? If you manage multiple storage devices with multiple web accounts, you know the source that you got it from, so you can track your upload batches. You can also prevent missed uploads or duplicates. Now, let me tell you a little bit about how I use this. So my mother, all of her media goes up to Google Photos. My brother, all of his goes to the cloud. When I'm visiting my family, I log in to our web-based application, meaning that our app doesn't have to be on their actual device. You bring up the web page, you log in, and you can drag and drop all of their media or whatever they would like you to have from their desktop, from their camera roll, from anywhere that they have storage. And if you do as of dates, you know, okay, I stop at February 8th. Now my next upload is going to be the next section, and then the next section. And then you go back to that secret sauce indexer, and that's how you put all of it together into its events and all of its people. What about the collection overlap? What do I do when people are part of multiple collections? That was something that drove us bananas. So profiles solves that. All right. I say all the time, Archoral is a profile and media-based application. So think about that for a second. We are not tree-based, we are profile and media-based. And how that works is each person that you enter into your archive gets a card. They get a profile card. And this is the home for all of the information, all of the media that you have collected related to that person, presented back to you in this beautiful timeline and interactive. It's kind of a dashboard for each one of the people. Then we have media. All of the media that you've uploaded goes into collections, right? We talked about how to organize your collections by family branch or topics. So let's go back and look at all of those collections that we opened again. Remember Carrie, all the way back from that highlighted tree we looked at? She had all those different branches, all those different folks that she was connected to. So how do we deal with her overlap? It's the indexing. We can have media in any collection, and as long as we index it back to Carrie, it's going to show up. So look at this. Each one of these collections that she's related to all work together and all summarize back to her profile. So you keep your branches organized, you keep the sections organized for when you're at Thanksgiving and when you're at Christmas, but then when you index them, the whole story comes together for one person. If you'll notice, some of these over here aren't highlighted. That's because those are the really far away branches. She wasn't alive yet, so why would she be in those? But the rest of these she is alive for, and she is in. So those photos, remember those photos with the million people and where do you put them? This solves that problem. You index it once, one piece of media you index once, and it spreads like wildfire throughout your collection and connects to all of those people. No more duplications, no more trying to figure out where to put it or what to do. So let's do a little recap. Traditional folders and files are independent. They're in their own universe, they're static, they're individual. Collections can be opened together, they're more than just family branches. You can open them in any combination, and you can choose the collections from both the Media tab and the Indexer tab. Work however you want to work and just have a good time. Organize in a way that works for you. That's the whole point of this. Collections allows your entire universe to be interactive from singular media piece entries that spread like wildfire. So that's my little 30-minute spiel. This is Archoral. Welcome to the community and happy archiving.